In this video, I'm going to talk about datums. These are references that we can use to create two-dimensional sketches and three-dimensional features off of them. There are some built-in datums that we can reference. So we have the right plane, the top plane, and the front plane. These are all built-in datum planes. Additionally, when we extrude a part, we can use surfaces and axes and any points that may be involved as a datum as well. But anything we want to add, we can use the datum group up top here. So I'm going to start off by making a datum plane. So I want it to be offset from this surface here. I selected offset, but you can also choose through, parallel, normal, or midplane. And I want that to be offset by 10 units. And it's offset in this direction, but I can change that to be a -10 if I want it to be offset in the other direction. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to extrude a part off of that datum. As you remember, our extrude feature, I can select a reference and have it go all the way up from this datum to that surface there. Now, this isn't the most efficient way to make this extrude here, but just for the sake of this tutorial video and showing you how to use datums, this is the way I've chosen to make it. I can also make a datum axis. And for this, I need to have two references. So if I want it to go from this plane and this plane, you can see highlighted in orange, this dotted line here. That's the axis that it's going to create. I can also make points, and there's several ways that I can do this. I can hold down my control key and select three surfaces, and it will choose the intersection of those three surfaces. Or I can choose a surface and hold down my control key and hit this axis here. It will do the intersection of those two. There's a variety of ways that you can create the same datum, and you should take some time and play around with this feature. Datums are frequently used for more complex features, like this cut that you can see in this image. In order to make a cut like this, we need to do a couple of things. We need to define this surface and this axis as the path that we're cutting along. There are different ways to do this. The way that I'm going to show you is I'm going to create my axis first by making a point here, and connecting them. And then I'm going to define a plane that's perpendicular to my axis. This is not the only way to do this, and it's not even the most efficient way to create this, but I want to help you get a sense of how this feature is used before we get into something a little more efficient. So like I said, I'm going to start with my points. I'm going to create a point on this surface, and I'm also going to select other references, including these two right here. So I want it to be right on my right plane, right on this top surface, and offset from this highlighted green surface by 2 units. There's my first point. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And there you can see my 2 points, there and there. So I'm going to make my axis by selecting axis in the datum group. And I'm going to hold my control key and pick these 2 points here and hit OK. And you can see my axis was created. Now I'm going to create my plane, and I already have this axis selected right here. You can see it here. And I also want to select this point. So I want it to be normal to my axis and on this point through this point. So I'm going to hit OK. and I have that surface selected. I'm going to extrude my cut. And like I showed you, I want it to go through on both sides. So I'm going to select through all for side 1 and side 2. Hit OK. And there you can see my cut. You can see it a little better if I show hidden lines. Now, having all these datums here in my model tree is very messy to look at, and it may not be super clear where they were used. So I want to embed my datums just like we embedded sketches in the last few videos. I'm going to do that while I show you how to make this feature here. So we made all these datums with the intention to make this extrude. So to embed it, I'm just going to start with extrude. And we don't have any datums to reference, so I'm going to hit datum here and create them. I want to create a plane. So one thing that I can do is I can reference this axis and holding my control key, select this plane. So it's basically making a copy of this plane that's being rotated about the selected axis. And I can change that to be 45 degrees, and you can see it moved this way. 60 degrees, whatever I may choose. Now, if I don't have that axis, or that's not the axis that I want to use, I can create one first. So I want it to go normal to this surface, and my references are going to be these two surfaces. And it's going in the opposite direction. It's showing up over here when actually I want it to be on this side, so I'm gonna make that a -2. And there's the axis that I was looking for. So I can go back and select my plane, and I already have this axis highlighted. You can see it here, and it's highlighted in green. And then I want to choose this plane and set it to my desired angle. I'm going to choose 150 degrees, so it looks like that. Now I can resume my extrude, and it's going to bring me straight to the sketch. So I'm going to look at it from the sketch view and draw my shape. I want this to be symmetric for the sake of this example, and 6 units long. And there you have my shape. And you can see that all of my datums are embedded here. Let me move my picture. All of my datums are embedded right here, so they're not just out in the open in the model tree, they're hidden. But if I want to go back and edit them, I can click on it and hit edit, and it'll bring me back into this window.